So hello and welcome again to our YouTube channel and Spotify. I am here with Sonia Sarina Birrer, originally from Switzerland. You come from Nidwalden and you're working in the French part of Switzerland as a past life regression therapist and facilitate past life soul journeys and between life spiritual regression. You are certified with the Past Life Regression Academy, and you're a member of Spiritual Regression Association. Sonia, you also work on different projects, and together with your partner, you are constantly moving towards a more simple, natural, and connected life. And I had a look at your YouTubes that you did some time ago about sustainability and about living without buying things. And I recommend you, I'll put links to this description box about this very inspiring and joyful kind of way of life. And today, as I invite you then, Sonia, to share with me some of your experiences. And just before we start diving deeper, to follow up on the previous podcast where you were telling your story, I have a similar one. We live here in the Pyrenees. At the end of the village, there are basically not like two more houses around us, and we just live under the mountain. So we get lots of wildlife here. And although we are not far from the river, I always in the summer or in the warm days, I always put lots of little pots of drinking water for animals that come. And so I did put another pot there, and then I'm really checking that it's low, that it's, nobody can drown in it. It's literally like this 5 centimeter, not even a small pot. And put water in it, and next day I see some bugs in it that drown, and I thought, well, okay, well, that's, didn't give a second thought. And a third day I come to it, and there were 2 drowned shrews. These little mice that eat flowers?
Oh,
They are so cute.
yes.
And
Yeah, they are.
some time ago, I nursed one. We found one, and we nursed it for a couple of days until it died. And this time,
Oh,
these 2 shrews were dead. In my regression therapist, I'm thinking, what a trauma. I felt so guilty. I felt so bad. What a trauma. These 2 guys just went for a drink in the evening and they drowned. And it was just impossible
heartbreaking.
for me to deal with. It was really, really something. So now I apologize. I buried them and apologized and made a little pond so that in case they can have a drink and they can walk back. But as a regression therapist, you always have this thing in mind, like the continuation of things. It's not just one thing you do. It has consequences. Everything you do has consequences. And my husband even laughed. He was like, "You are always in your regression therapy head." But that's what we do. So so yeah, so I wanted to ask you, how did you get into this regression therapy, regression perspective? How did you get to learn these things? And just tell us about your
Yeah,
journey towards it.
with pleasure. It's a good question. First, I just wanted to say I can really relate to what you said just before with your story. It's a beautiful, heartbreaking story, but yeah, I can really relate. I always had since my early childhood, since I can remember, actually, I always had this idea of a soul, and reincarnation was something that was just so natural and normal to me. It was not something that I was taught or told. It was just something I guess I was born with like believing that there is more to this body. And also with animals. That's why I love your story so much. With animals, it was especially strong with me that I just felt them, and I felt they had a soul, and there were several dimensions and lifetimes basically. It was later because I was brought up Catholic, so to speak, and we had Bible classes in school, and it was very confusing for me at the early age, at 7 years already, when I heard these stories, and I just didn't make sense to me. I was just like, this, none of this makes sense. Like it went against what I thought how life worked, and so there was, you can imagine, there was a lot of confusion for me, and finally finding my path. And yeah, I had two things actually that bothered me in since my childhood. One was feeling homesick, really, really badly, crying myself to bed almost every night, wanting to go home. And that kind of stopped at the age of 9 or 10, because I like my rational mind told me, you're home, stop crying, like you're in your bed. And the other one was that I had nightmares, very, very violent, brutal nightmares. And yeah, it was before I became a therapist that I was like, I cannot continue to live like that. It took me about an hour every morning to kind of get back to myself, and yeah, just to realize where I am and who I am after the nightmares. They were so intense. So I started looking for therapists, and all the therapists in my region told me, I don't do regression, I don't do regression. So long story short, I was like looking up what this regression thing was, and I came to find out what it was, and I was like, oh, this is actually something I want to do. Like I want to learn, I don't just want to do therapy. And yeah, that's how I became a regression therapist. That's how I signed up for the academy and started my training. And I have to add, I'm always adding to this story, that the nightmares actually stopped before I became a therapist and before I had therapy. It was something intuitively one night, because I signed up and it would take another like 3 months or 4 months until I could start the training. I was like, that's a really long time, and I don't want to have these nightmares anymore. So my intuition just told me one night, it's like, just tell your soul to stop going away. And so I just did that. I told myself my name, the date, where I'm at, and I just said, we're here in Frenières-sur-Bay in Switzerland. There is nothing bad happening, and we're just going to sleep and we're going to stay here. And the nightmares literally stopped immediately. And
Wow.
they did come back a bit later, and they repeated the same things. And they've recently come back again, and I'm going, shall I repeat the same thing? I know they will go away, or maybe now it's time to find out why I'm doing this. So some people call it astral traveling. I'm not very good with all these spiritual terms, and I'm very careful with them because it's just a definition that we make up. But I do know that I'm kind of leaving and I'm coming back, and yeah. So
This is this is very, very interesting story. I'm sure you're not the only one who is who had these kind of experiences.
yeah.
I know a couple of stories with small kids that you could not possibly wake up. They were somewhere else, simply, even if you were holding him and giving him a drink, they were somewhere else.
Wow.
And I am absolutely sure that when we sleep, we go somewhere else, that we leave our body and we live somewhere else and we do some other things. To add to your experience, about the dreams, I have, like, when I fall asleep in the evening, I continue the dream which I left in the morning. And it literally happens like this. Then I do other stuff also. They are not
Wow.
related, those dreams. But you
Yeah.
know, like that you go to the other plane, and I think in the nightmares or whatever, that you basically just continue in the other level of being. And
Mm,
it's interesting the way you said that you basically held yourself in one place consciously, not going to the other realms, or not going to that terrible realm, as you were
yeah.
saying. This is very
Mm,
fascinating. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So tell me,
Yeah.
what else do you do, and how yeah, you do between life regression therapy as well. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, that, I guess that's the space that really fascinates me. It's this dimension, between dimensions almost. It's what I'm experiencing, and yes, there is violence, and yes, there is death, and but it's not in real life, as in, you know what I mean. But yeah, the between life spiritual regression is really like the focus of also of my practice. It's when you travel back to that dimension before this incarnation in the physical body, between lives. So between the last past life and this life, there is a dimension, there is something happening in between. And that's really my big fascination. It's all about like finding out, why did I come here? What's the story? Who am I? And yeah, and just facilitating the process of who we truly are, and finding out for myself, I think, is my
Can you just
passion.
tell to our listeners how technically you do this? Because this all sounds like, wow, what is this? How can I do this? So can you just, like in technical points, like what do you do?
Technically, I always explain it. How can I explain it short so it doesn't take 20 minutes just to explain that? Basically, you do a deep hypnosis, and then you access these subconscious memories. I think that's the simplest explanation that I can give. It's a bit like sleeping, but you're more aware.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's accessible to nearly everybody, I would think, in your
Yeah.
experience.
In my experience, it's the people that are looking for it, they're ready
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's how I usually feel it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
When they are interested, where's the will, there is the way. So they
Yeah.
always, yeah, they always can
Yeah.
find it. And about this encounters with death, because you go in the past life regression very often to the death point. In past lives, obviously, it's different experience, and we don't know much about death in this life, only from near-death experiences, encounters,
Mhm.
accounts. Sorry, and you told me recently. I mean, we didn't really get in touch because your dog passed, and I wanted
Mhm.
to tell us something about that, because you were obviously very close with your little pooch. So what
Big
was that?
pooch.
It was big pooch. He's there on the video as well. Yeah, on the
Yeah, on my profile picture. Yeah, I've always had this fascination with death. I remember when I was introduced 11 years ago to transpersonal astrology. That's a type of astrology that actually takes in account past lives, and it goes over the personal, so transpersonal. And I remember, like, there was just the one question I really had for my astrologer was like, can you tell from a chart when someone's going to die? And I'm asking this with all my naivety and passion for life and death, knowing that there is more and that it's not so bad, so to speak. And of course, he said, no, it's like really like, no, 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 you can't predict death. And up to today, I actually don't believe him. And I'm sure all astrologers will tell me the same thing. It's like to protect ourselves. But I really do believe that we have like portals, and I do believe also that since we're aligned with the planets and the energy of the planets, that I'm pretty sure there is certain energies that allow our soul to leave if we want to or not. And yeah, I have a few stories to share. I think I will start. Yeah, this year we had my life partner's mother died very unexpectedly in January. She wasn't ill, she wasn't very old. It was really unexpected death. And I remember when I saw her for the last time, it was a couple of days before she passed. We were invited for dinner, and there was this moment when I looked at both of them, because I recognized an energy that I've never felt before. And I remember looking at them, like looking back and forth. They were standing next to each other, thinking, what am I seeing? What am I feeling? And I felt like a really, really deep sense of peace. That's all I got, the information that I got in that moment. And I kept looking and thinking, what does it mean? Will I get more information? Is there a translation to this feeling? And there was nothing else I was understanding. I just felt peace. That was it. And it was very, very special, because like I said, I've never felt it before, and it really marked me. And that was it. And we left, we said goodbye after our dinner, and my partner and I went on holiday, and 3 days later we got a phone call that she had passed. And you can imagine it was quite a shock for me. And it took me a while until I reconnected and understood again, like this image came back to me and the feeling that I had. And I kind of went, oh, wow. So this deep sense of peace, could it be that on a soul level, because I do know on a soul level, we know everything that is more or less going to happen. Maybe those two people just on a soul level knew that their contract has finished, well finished, like a good ending. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
And
finished. Yeah.
yeah, it's like the contract has come to an end. We've did what we wanted to do together on this planet. And that feels, that's peaceful. There is no struggling there. On a soul level, there is never any struggling anyway. It's all acceptance. And I realized that I had felt this. And it was very humbling for me. And soon after her passing, my dog started to have epileptic seizures. Actually, she started at the night of the funeral, of after the funeral of my partner's mother. And again, it was very, very shocking for us. It took 2 months until she finally passed over. And I think it was really 2 months to prepare me. Because, if you have a dog, you're never prepared to let go. If you love your dog or your animal, it's just, even no matter how spiritual you are, and, you're just not ready ever. So I think she gave me really 2 months to kind of understand, hey, I'm about to leave and I'm going to give you some signs so you can make this process. And it was 2 months of nightmares for me, like not real nightmares, but nightmares being awake. And yeah, I'm trying to like keep it short because I could talk for hours, but the main point is that I think about 2 weeks before she died, there was something in me that switched literally from one day to the other. And I keep saying, I don't know if it was exhaustion from not sleeping and from being so anxious and so scared of her passing, or if it was just the process of starting to understand that I am not going to heal epilepsy in an almost 12-year-old dog, and the patterns, how she was repeating them was like everything. We tried so many things, nothing worked. And I was like, I'm not going to heal this. And I guess maybe that was also part of accepting, again, like from controlling and trying to like have an influence on life to just go like, Sonia, you're not going to heal this. And there was like peace coming over me, and I started breathing again. And we had 2 weeks where in between the seizures, I was just present with her and calm and no more scared. And yes, during the seizures, I was assisting her and making sure she was okay. And she only had one more seizure in these 2 weeks. And then the point I want to make is that like the day she died, again, I could see the pattern with her. Like I said, I wasn't ready and I didn't receive any information that she was going to die. But I could see the pattern that she had before the seizures. And something in me told me she's going to have another seizure or she's going to leave. And she was leaving. So she wasn't having a seizure. She was being super, super tired all day and she just wanted to sleep. And she literally just fell asleep and was in a coma for 10 hours. And I was with her all the time. I had her on my legs and I tried a few more things and I didn't call the veterinary. I called my naturopath and I knew that I could call a veterinary and they might put like adrenaline in her or whatever and try to get her back and get her out of the coma. And I was like, no, this was the moment. Again, I wasn't ready to let her go, but I knew she was leaving and she wanted to leave and I couldn't like, it was not up to me to stop it. So I was like, I chose to be present instead. And it was the very last second again that marked me the most. That was so beautiful. Like I'm talking about death of my dog, right? That is still like super intense and super painful for me. But the moment she actually died, I had my hand on her heart. And I was listening to her breathing, like very slow breathing. And the last time she was breathing in, again, I didn't know it was the last breath, but I was waiting for her. She was breathing out to breathe in again, and she just didn't breathe in. And I was like, my hand was like her heart was like, just going normally. And I said to her out loud, it's like, my love, if you're not going to breathe in, your heart is going to stop. In that voice, I was so calm. It's just bigger than us. It's so peaceful, I swear. And her heart just, at some stage, it just went really, really fast for, I don't know, millisecond. Like it goes so quick. And quiet, and it was just peaceful. It was just peace. Of course, I started crying for like 2 hours. There's a lot happening when you just lose someone you really, really love. But the moment of death is very, very peaceful, and it's nice for me to experience it in that way, because I do experience it also with my clients when they do a past life regression, when they go through death. There is this peace. Like they all talk about peace all the time. Sorry, my cat is coming. I'm trying to stop
you
her
see,
to walk. I love. Yeah, go into your bed.
The cat is very much alive. This is so nice. I mean, it nearly made me cry, me, because I remember our dog when he was passing, and he literally he would not move for the last few days. I had to carry him. And then when the vet came, he suddenly walked into the garden to greet him. And then he just said, I took him on my lap, and the moment, and at some point, I was holding him, as you say, holding his heart. I felt like, whoop. And then there was this amazing peace out of his body. It was just like, I don't know, it was an peace, as you say, amazing peace, and then whoop, was gone. And then all this, like just a corpse stayed there.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. And yes, I'm grateful, just like your experience, this experience, it just opens up so much understanding for you about what is happening in the process of death.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and I forgot the introduction story. I don't know if I want to go into the whole story, but we also lost our cat a year ago, and that was the first encounter, like proper encounter with death, and I think her death was preparation for what happened this year. Yeah.
So how did that happen? Because you had some awareness about it, as we talked about before, that with your cat passing.
Yeah, with the cat, the cat opened a complete like new dimension for me, because like I think we said before, and you know me, that I'm a very spiritual person, but I'm also extremely grounded and rational. So everything that goes like into this woo-woo stuff, like I'm always going a bit like, maybe not, right? So like animal communication, I totally believe in it, but I would do it, and now I have hair of my cat everywhere. But I'm not someone who says like I will hear animals or talk to them. I feel them. That I know for sure. And with my cat, it was like I had a regression client online, and I was ready for the client, and the cat was like this one. This is our new cat. She was right here. I was right here. She came to play and petted her, and I in her face that looked, at the time, it was from between her being upset or aggressive or sad. It wasn't a positive emotion, and I couldn't quite understand it. And I looked at her and was like, what's happening? And I felt that she was telling me in that moment, I'm going to die later today. I'm going to be hit by a car. And it just came like that. I was like, like, what? That makes no sense. And I went and I locked the front door, because in my head, then it went like, well, if you're going to be hit by a car, it will be behind the house, and there's workers, and they will come and disturb my session, and I can't have someone disturbing the session when I'm with a client. So I'm going to lock the door so no one is coming in case, I don't answer. So weird. Like I never lock my front door.
So on one sense, you took it as, okay, that's the information I am going to already act upon it, yes.
And on another side, I believe nothing of it, because I left the cat flap open. I mean, if I had believed it, I obviously don't want to lose my cat. I would have locked her inside, right? I didn't. I left the cat flap open. Like I was like, she's not going to die. And she stayed with me anyway. During the whole session, she stayed with me. And she gave, and before I started the session, she gave me a visual. So first it was like someone talking to me. I locked the door, and then before I started the session, I got a visual, and I saw her lying on the road dead. And again, I was like, what is this? put it to the side, focused on my session. Cat was with me, all good, session finished, everything fine. 3 hours later, I'm having lunch, Cat is with me, coming outside, it was a sunny day, I'm petting her, everything was fine. And then I had to go down to the post office. And in the car, I felt like I was going to vomit. It's like tension. I felt sick. It was like I was like, what is going on, Sonia? You know, it's like thinking about the post office, and it's like something is wrong and I don't know what it is. And I drove back home and the cat was dead on the road. So that was like preparation of what was going to happen. It was just incredible. I didn't want to believe it. I was like, this cannot be true, but it was true. And she really was gone. And the second thing that happened was that a couple of days later, my partner and we both loved this cat, like really, really, really deeply. We had her for 9 years. It was really our little baby. And so especially my partner, they had like a connection, more than I even had with her. A couple of days later, he goes to work. I work from home. At 11 a.m., both of us are getting this information again. Like, we're not religious. We don't believe in Jesus Christ. Like, it's not that we don't believe in him. We don't talk about it. We're just not this kind of people. And I'm getting this message that says, it felt like it was coming from the cat. There was a Jesus Christ portal open and I decided to take it. And this is like me connecting back to the portals I was talking about. And I received this information. I was like, wow, this time, I instantly believed it. I was like, this is amazing. But I didn't think about it when our partner got home. And I didn't talk about it immediately. And we had dinner. And then he said, Sonia, something really weird happened today. He said, it felt like Clara, our cat, told me she wanted to leave because Jesus was here. And there was like an energy that allowed her to go. He put it in these words. And I was like, what? Him mentioning Jesus, which was something we never talk about, we never mentioned. And I said, what time? And he said, well, it was just before lunch. It was 11 a.m. So she gave us at the same time the information. And for me, it was like, again, it was like a preparation because we're both believers, but we're not, kind of to really give us like very clear signs, like, guys, if you still have doubts, here we go. Well, now we can truly believe it.
That absolutely gives me lots of relief with my cat also on the road ending up. It's like we felt so bad, and now you say about this portal open, so it's like, okay, I'm off. I done my job here with you, and I'm off. And
yeah, and they choose a way to leave. Like, and she couldn't. She was not old enough, and she wasn't sick. She couldn't have left anyway, like on any other way. So again, like, I do believe there is portals that are open when we can leave, and when the animals are leaving, and they know that even more than we do. And sometimes if they want to leave because that's the time they want to go, they choose to jump in front of a car because that's what she did. It wasn't a busy road. It was a spot she was always. It was the neighbor that always passed that loves her as well and that takes care, you know, that isn't driving fast. So it was like almost suicide, you could speak, but you know, it wasn't. It was
it is. I mean, because they are like, okay, they see the light, and instead of going away from the light, they jump under the light.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
So it is like, okay, I'm out of here. And this is so much gives me so much consolation. I'm sure I'm not the only one who lost a cat like this, and your perception on it and your view is really really mind and heart opening. It's really nice. Thank you so much for sharing this.
Thank you.
Sonia, we just have a couple of minutes left. I would like to ask you how all these experiences and working with regression therapy, how does that influence your personal life?
Yeah, I was just going to add that even if you have the spiritual perspective, it doesn't stop you from feeling the emotional pain. Nothing changes. There is as much crying. There is as much moments where I'm like, was it my mistake? Should I have locked the cat flap? There is like, I observe sometimes this like gap. There is moments where I'm in complete, what I would call the spiritual awareness. And I just feel peace and acceptance. And 10 seconds later, I'm just a 3D human being and I don't want to go and save the slug on the road because I don't want it to be, you know, hit. scorched by a car. So I guess it gives my personal life these pockets or these moments of peace and full acceptance. And then it makes it easier to endure the emotional upset and the struggling and the controlling, which is just as much present. I really think we are spiritual beings. We're connected up there, and we have feet and body, and we're connected down here, and we have to live both. And that's kind of my mantra. So I don't want to become just this spiritual accepting person. I'm totally okay with going through all my emotional ups and downs, and I think that's maybe that's the most important message. Even if you understand death, and I mean, I guess it would be good to talk about it more, and to be less scared of it. It doesn't make life or death any less emotional, to put it that way. That's
Yes. Yes, I
yeah,
absolutely agree with you. It's like here on Earth, we have like certain things take certain times. You're cooking an egg to hard boil 10 minutes, then it
yeah,
takes a certain time to grieve, and you have to have it. You have to go
yeah,
through that.
yeah.
That's how we are humanly wired down here with our soul. Yeah.
That's why we chose to come here in a human body. Otherwise, we could have come with some flying entity angel. I don't know. Or as
Yes.
a
Sonia, I'm sorry, our time's up. I'm sure we will get back to these topics with other people probably as well and other points of view. This was amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
so
it
so
with
much,
us.
Bernadette.
And thank you everybody who is listening to this. And hopefully it'll be of some use to you. Thank you, Sonia, again, and see you soon.
Thank you for
Thank
giving me the
you.
space. Take care.